A warm welcome to my fellow group members and greetings to you, Dr. Sisanda. Thank you for the opportunity that you've given us to present to you this video. Please lend us your ear as we are about to begin. As a teacher, it is super imperative to comprehend the views of sociology, particularly conflict theory and functionalism. In this video, we'll discuss the views of conflict theory and views of functionalism with the accompaniment of a collage. We'll then critique both views of theories. We'll then give a lucid summary in the video. I'll let my second colleague continue.
The concept of gender is more fluid. It may and it may not depend upon the biological traits. It describes how society determines and manages 6 categories. The cultural meaning attached to women and men's roles, and how individuals understand their identities, including being a man, woman, transgender, intersex, and other gender positions. Gender involves social norms, attitude, and activities that society deems to be more appropriate for one sex over another. The sociology of gender examines how society influences our understanding and perception of differences between masculinity and femininity, which is what society deems to be more appropriate behavior for a woman and a man. We examine how this in turn influences our identity and social practices. We pay focus on power relationship that follow from the established gender order in a given society, as well as how it changes over time. Thank you.
To understand the sociology of gender, one must first understand how sociologists define and differentiate between gender and sex. Though male or female and man or woman are often conflated in the English language, they are actually referred to 2 very different things: sex and gender. The former, sex, is understood by sociologists to be a biological categorization based on reproductive organs. Most people fall into the categories of male and female. However, some people are born with sex organs that do not clearly fit their category, and they are known as intersex. Either way, sex is a biological classification based on body parts. Gender, on the other hand, is a social classification based on one's identity, interpretation of self, behavior, and interaction with others. Sociologists view gender as learned behavior and a culturally produced identity, and as such is a social category.
Children learn at a young age that there are distinct expectations for boys and girls. Cross-cultural studies reveal that children are aware of gender roles by the age of 2 or 3. According to Kane, at 4 or 5, most children are firmly entrenched with cultural appropriate gender roles. Children acquire these roles through socialization, a process in which people learn to behave in a particular way as detected by social values, beliefs, and attitudes. Gender socialization occurs through 4 major agents in socialization: family, education, peer groups, and mass media. Each agent reinforces gender roles by creating and maintaining normative expectations for gender-specific behavior. Exposure also occurs through secondary agents such as religion and the workplace. Repeated exposure to these agents over time leads men and women into a false sense that they are acting naturally rather than following a social constructed role.
Gender conflict theory is a specific variation of social theory that prioritizes the inequality and conflicts between men and women. Specifically, it looks at how the society perpetuates gender inequality. The question this theory raises is, why do men and women get treated differently? Now, the theorists of functionalism have historically shared that gender inequalities are a natural result that each gender take on the task they are best suited for. But modern sociologists don't share this view. Economic and political powers that reinforce these gender inequality rules often cause more dysfunction than function. Restricting access to education because of gender is a great example of this dysfunction. Denying women access to quality education makes the society worse by restricting half the world's potential. Sociologists' understanding of society wouldn't be the same without the amazing women and feminists who introduced gender as an academic field of study.
Thomas is the father of conflict theory, who has a colleague, Engels, a German sociologist, suggested that the same owner-worker relationship seen in the labor force could be seen in the household, with women assuming the role of the working class. This was due to the women's dependence on men for the attainment of wages. Contemporary conflict theorists suggest that women became wage earners. They gain power in the family structure and create more democratic arrangements in the home, although they may still carry the majority of the dominant burden.
Conflict theory talks about power, success, and a class economic difference. So when we talk about conflict theory, we talk about the class difference of employer-worker relationship, which now that can be integrated to families. That if you see or view a male, you see an employer, a person who's superior, and then when you view a female, you see a worker, the person who's inferior. With that being said, a female is perceived as a person who depends on a male for minimum wages or as a breadwinner for them to be able to put food on the table for the whole family. So in that way, physically, emotionally, a female feels inferior to males. In that case, the gender roles are being conflicted. Some females are born in wealthier families in terms of class difference, and the way they view their gender roles is different from the female that is born into a poor family. One, in the way you are socialized, the family, because gender roles start in the socialization of families. The way the person who comes from a wealthier family is socialized, they are taught about independence. They are taught about speaking out for yourself. They are taught about education, work, and even owning your own business. But where else in a poor family, what goes around is saying, be respectful, be able to find a man and be able to get married and have a successful life. They do not talk about independence. But now the conflict arises in the poor family when a female gets married to a male, and when they try to make ends meet, they find that in this economical state, they cannot depend on one minimum wage. So the female has to work. Now, the conflict arises when the female assumes the duties of a male, being a breadwinner, being able to go work and pay for some of the things in the house. Then the conflict arises from there. Culture has played a very big role in growing on in varying gender roles, because now in our culture and the society, the traditional people, they view a female as a person who should stay in the kitchen and be able to work. They don't even if you are talking about religion, some of the people are still seeing it as a taboo for a female to be a head of a congregation, because now they feel that with what is happening on the female, they feel the females sometimes are dirty and they should not be allowed in the altar. So in all that, society, culture has made us to feel that, or to see the need of belittling women and not making them to be independent and see that they are able to arise and they are able to work up in the economy, they are able to be employers in a particular time. Thank you.
According to the functionalist, gender differentiation contributes to the overall stability in the society. For example, in a traditional family, the man fulfills as an instrumental role. He is a provider. He goes out to the work, earning money and supports the family. And the woman fulfills an expressive and emotional support role. The children are there to obey the parents' rules. The functionalists believe that this works to the advantage of society. Functionalists also believe that the woman's role as a nurturer and caregiver is more pronounced in contemporary and in industrialized society. The functionalists are of the view that this division of a family labor ensures that important societal tasks are fulfilled and it provides stability for the family member.
Now that we have looked on these different views, both in the functionalism and in conflict theory, let's look at the criticism. Let us look at what is being said about these views. Functionalism is being criticized for being unable to account for social change. This means that if they state that the role of a man is to provide for a family, however, if a man cannot provide for the family, it means that the family will suffer. How can we live in that sense? And also, it has been criticized for neglecting the inequalities that exist in a society. For example, when we look at division of labor, even in the workplace, men are the ones who are in the position of power when compared to women. So it means that the inequalities continue even in the workplace. Women are being exploited at home and even in the workplace. Functionalism is also being criticized for refining rather than reflecting gender roles. This implies that it does not bring these issues into reality. It does not bring the issues of gender into being reality, as it is what is happening in the society, by saying that women need to be in the kitchen, women need to stay at home and look after children. How about women going out and trying to make money in order to assist men? Also, according to functionalist perspective, these gender roles are beneficial in that they contribute to stable social relations. However, that is not the case. These roles are discriminatory in a sense that if you, as a woman, in terms of job, you are being regarded not physical fit for certain positions. Thus, in that sense, it means that inequalities will continue within society. Thank you.
Okay, functionalist view on gender. So, according to functionalist, gender is something that is well organized in order to move the society in a proper way by giving male and female some distinct roles. Functionalist believes that there are no social rules better suited to one gender than the other, and that the societies are more stable when certain tasks are being fulfilled by the appropriate sex. Functionalists pose that gender roles arises from the need to establish a division of labor that will help maintain the smooth running of the family and contribute to the society. The functionalist people believe that both men and women possesses specific qualities that makes them excellent at specific events. So, according to the structural functionist, gender serves to maintain social order by providing and ensuring stability of such functional prerequisites. However, the Marxist viewed qualities for men and women as being dependent on social conditions rather than being inherited.
So let's vilakazi said that functionalists do not see, they are not aware of the inequalities that exist in gender roles. Functionalists are there to say people must do whatever they need to do for there to be peace in society. So they see that as a male, you need to go to work to be able to put food on your table. But as a female, you must make sure that the children are well fed, the male is well fed, the home is taken care of. So in that there is peace, there is no integrated roles, or there are no roles exchanged. Functionalists do not see a female going up in a corporate ladder to be able to fight the injustices and inequalities that are faced by females in this country. But functionalists, they say all we need to do is to work together in finding or in making the system to be peaceful and in working. Functionalists further say they view their theory in a biological term called homeostasis, which means that the shift, or if there is any shift that is taking place, then either the environment or the system itself will be able to produce some of the cells or the fighting to destabilize the shift and make in equilibrium. Sithi mase siyichaza sithi if you are sick, more blood or more fighting cells will be released to counteract that bacteria that is fighting you, for your body to work and function. Now we are saying if you are a leg, you can't play a role of a head. And if you are a brain, you can't play a role of the foot. So in that regard, they are saying if you are a female and in the hierarchical position, you are regarded as a person who's staying there at home, feeding children and giving birth to children, then now you can't swipe gender roles and become a person that you are not supposed to be. Thank you.